Thursday. Happy Thinking Thursday. And this week we have some weather trivia for you, so it's going to be a fun one. If you haven't been here before, just got to keep track of how many you get right, and then at the end I'll kind of let you know who you are based on how many questions you got right and how many questions you got wrong. But in my opinion, this week's kind of hard. It's a lot of randomness, I guess. So if you don't do that well, if you get a low amount right, it's still good job, everybody. Whether you get 1 or you get 0 or you get 10 or somehow you get 11 even though there's 10, I don't know. But let's just jump right into it. Question 1. My bad. Alright, there we go. Question 1. Which device is used to measure temperature? A thermometer, thermometer, a thermostat, or a thermon? So the answer to this is B, a thermometer. So we have one right here. This is an electric one, but if you've seen those ones where it's there's a red thing at the top, or it might be at the bottom, I can't remember, and it's I don't know how to explain it, but some thermometers have a glass tube sealed at both ends, and they are partially filled with liquid, either mercury or alcohol. And as the temperature around the bulb heats up, then the liquid rises in the tube. And then when it's hot, the liquid in the thermometer will expand and rise in the tube. But like I said before, that's not this. That's the glass one. So this is just the metal tip on here detects it, and it's more electric, which is good. It makes it probably easier to do. Or maybe quicker. I guess it really depends. But, I mean, I've seen recently, there's ones where you, just look at a screen, and then the screen will tell you. It's, crazy how good, or how advanced some of this technology is. So, good job if you got that right, or if you got it wrong, good job as well. And let's move on to question 2. Which is the name of the scientist who studies weather? Or a scientist. There's not a specific scientist who studies weather, but A, weatherist, B, meteorologist, C, seismologist, or D, endocrinologist. It's a lot of ist. Hopefully you guessed B, meteorologist. So meteorology is a branch of basically studying weather. It involves the chemistry of weather as well as more physical stuff with weather. There's a major focus on forecasting. So forecasting would be looking into and predicting the future. So this study of weather dates back a long time, but there wasn't really much progress until the 18th century. So 200 to 300 years ago, which is pretty cool. So actually in this map it looks like he's talking maybe about Wisconsin. Yeah, that's Wisconsin. And yeah, so let's go on to question 3. Through what unit is temperature measured in the U.S.? A, Celsius, B, Kelvin, C, Fahrenheit, or D, degrees? So hopefully you chose C, Fahrenheit. So if you chose degrees, yes, it is 90 degrees, but it's 90 degrees in Fahrenheit. Degrees is just it's not the actual unit. Celsius is pretty much used most of the rest of the world. I don't know why we use Fahrenheit. We just tend to do that. We tend to be on our own. And then Kelvin is a more scientific one. So yeah, that's the 4 options. And then here we have this cool little map. And on this map, it compares Celsius next to Fahrenheit, so you can kind of see what number Celsius is what number Fahrenheit. So hopefully you sort of understand this map, because question 4 has to do with it. At what temperature does Fahrenheit equal Celsius? A 0, B 20, C 40, D 60. So the reason I said that quickly is because you might want to take some time and look at this stock photo and see where Celsius would equal Fahrenheit. So I'll give you 10 seconds, I guess. Alright, that definitely was not 10 seconds. But now that I've talked, it's probably been 10 seconds. So let's move on to question Sorry, let's get the answer to this question. So we have B, 20. So I'll show you how to read this. So for example, you're going to go left to right. So 50 Celsius would be 120 Fahrenheit. 40, 100. 30, 80. 20, 60. 10, 40. 0, 20. 10, 0. And then 20, 20. So there you go. So those are, well, it's technically negative 20. Wow, that is my mistake. All right. So I guess they just didn't put the negative mark on here. So it's technically actually negative 20. So honestly, if you really want, you can just get a free point on that one. If you already got it right, no free point. But if you got it wrong, you can get a free point because that is my mistake. But let's move on to question 5. What country experiences the most tornadoes? We have A, China, B, Uganda, C, Chile, and D, the USA. So you were right. You got D, USA. The United States sees the most tornadoes in the world, with an average of more than 1,000 tornadoes each year, which is crazy. Canada is second, with around 100 per year, so we have about 10 times more than Canada. And all other countries combined experience another 100 to 200 tornadoes annually. So we have a lot of tornadoes here. If you've ever heard of Tornado Valley, I believe that is what it's called. That is where a lot of tornadoes happen. But they can pretty much happen wherever, but there's some places where they just happen more often. So yeah, good job. Question 6. Blizzards feature strong winds, low temperatures, and heavy what? We have A, rain, B, snow, C, hail, or D, lightning. So hopefully you chose B, snow. So we have a little photo here of this scary looking blizzard. Terrible driving conditions. A blizzard is a severe snowstorm with winds in excess of like 35 miles an hour and very bad visibility. Blizzards can also occur after snowfall when the winds cause whiteout. So basically the snow that's already on the ground is picked up and moved around just because of how strong the wind is. And then there's also something called snow drifts, which has to do with huge mountains of snow. And all three of these, a blizzard, whiteout, and snowdrift, are all characterized by snow and low visibility. And I guess fast winds, or strong winds, not necessarily fast. But yeah, good job. Question 7. How many distinct colors are in the common rainbow? We have A, 5, B, 6, C, 7, and D, 8. Hopefully you chose C, 7. So a rainbow is caused by sunlight and like just the atmosphere. So if we count here, we got a little bit of dark blue there. We got we got dark blue, we got purple, we got blue. So we're at 3. Green, 4. Yellow, 5. Orange, 6. And red, 7. So that is the 7. Obviously it can vary a little bit, but on like the animated ones, you also see 7. So pretty much light enters into a water droplet, and the light bends a little bit, and then the light reflects off the inside of the droplet, and this actually somehow separates its like wavelength of color into all the colors. So when light exits the droplet, it makes a rainbow. So it's this really cool natural process that you would not think is natural, but it's crazy. So yeah, good job on question 7. Let's move on to question 8. What is another word for rain? A, precipitation, B, sublimation, C, condensation, and D, evaporation. So I am hoping you chose A, precipitation. So we have here someone holding an umbrella. Looks to be sort of waterproof. Maybe? I mean, the droplets are sort of coming off. Maybe it's just quick rain. Who knows? But precipitation is the action or process of a precipitating substance. Or in terms of like water, it's like clouds letting out rain, pretty much. Sublimation, that is when something goes directly from a solid to a gas. So there's some sort of, like, for example, if you've ever seen dry ice, I believe that is sublimation, where like it turns directly into a gas. And then evaporation is when liquid turns to vapor. So that's sort of when the sweat on you disappears. And then, which one did I forget? Did I forget condensation? That is just when, like, water condenses into the cloud. So that is how clouds are created. So that's a little bit of a lesson on those 4 processes. Hopefully you got A. If not, that's okay too. But good job. Let's move on to question 9. So which of the following is not another name for hurricane? You have A, cyclone, B, tropical storm, C, typhoon, and D, landslide. So the answer to this is D, landslide. So those first 3, cyclone, tropical storm, and typhoon, these are all 3 just other words for hurricane. They're just, whether it be nicknames or legitimate terms, that's what it is. And then landslide's a totally different thing. Pretty much literally what the name implies. It's like a land sliding. Like, it's like the earth loses its stability. Like one part, like often happens on like hills or mountains, just sort of falls down, and it can be pretty bad. So yeah, that's the landslide. And here's a picture of a hurricane going on around here. And this is the United States. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's move on to question 10. What is the smartest thing to do during a major flood? We have A, go to the basement. B, drive. C, stop, drop, and roll. And D, go to the highest floor. Hopefully you chose D, go to the highest floor. So we have a little flood here. Or I guess it's not too little, but let's think about the logic of this. If you go to the basement during a flood, like, the basement is where most of the water is most likely to go. Drive, I mean, this person drived and it doesn't look too successful for them. I would not recommend. Stop, drop, and roll, that's when there's a fire, or if you're on fire. And then go to the highest floor, that is the smartest option. So great job. So that is all 10 questions. That seems really quick. Let's see how you did. So if you got 1 or 3, you spend a lot of time inside. You're not really looking out the window that often. You're just focused on stuff that's going on inside. You're probably working hard. Just not really outside that much, I guess, which isn't a bad thing. But, I mean, being outside is fun, so I would recommend. If you got 4 through 6, you spend a good amount of time in and out. You have pretty good balance in your life. You spend, pretty much what I just said. You spend half the time inside and half the time outside, and you know how to have a fun time, I guess. And then 7 through 9, you know a lot about weather. You're probably a future meteorologist or some sort of scientist or something. You just are really fascinated by what is going on outside. And then if you got 10, you're probably a weather expert. You love watching the Weather Channel. You probably already track the radars and stuff to see where the storms are gonna be and stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 0, you did great. This week was kind of random, kind of hard, kind of quick to be honest. But I hope you had a good time at Thinking Thursday, and have a great Friday and Saturday, and rest your weekend and rest your summer. So I'll see you later. Bye-bye.